Hello, everyone. My name is Kamika Creedle, and I will be your presenter today. I am the CEO and president of Creedle Consulting and Evolve Youth, and I'm just excited to be here today to discuss the topic of leadership, resilience matters, and developing a resilient leader within you. So let's get started. Just want to cover some learning objectives for you all today. We will learn the importance of personal resilience and why it matters. Learn ways to become a more determined, self-motivated, and focused leader. Learn key attributes and attitudes and skills that help in developing resilience. Gain tools and strategies to effectively build your personal resilience to stress, challenges, and changes in life and the workplace. And lastly, learn how to examine your own ability as a leader to bounce back from adversity. So we'll give you a quick.
Quiet your mind for a moment. Let me ask you one thing. What limits you? Athletes blame strength, height, or the unalterable nature of genetics. Yet this very year, someone will break an unbreakable record. Some cite a lack of mental prowess. You're bad at math or a slow reader, perhaps. Even so, some of the greatest minds in history would have been labeled learning disabled. Maybe your parent was ill-equipped to encourage you or buy you the right sneakers in junior high. Trivial as it may sound, it was a big deal then, and it may still be a mountain in your mind's eye. Napoleon Hill reminded us that whatever the mind believes, it can achieve. If that is true, and it is, what happens to the labeled child who believes they can never learn? What happens to a short basketball player who believes height is a limitation? What about the child, now adult, who had a lacking parent? Is that life's limitation? If you believe any one of these things, then yes, you are limited. These and many more are your self-limiting beliefs. If you quiet yourself long enough to dig, you'll find some. And that, my friend, is good news. Find those limiting beliefs and say out loud, the limits are off. They no longer serve me. Believe today that your dreams and goals are not only worth chasing but attainable because you are truly unlimited. Take confidence in the fact that the source of all potential will reveal the doors and pathways you must follow to accomplish what you believe you can accomplish. Belief drives behavior. New, unlimited beliefs about your potential can drive new behavior, new awareness, and new results. If you're going to believe something and reap a harvest, you might as well pick the belief that grows into something beautiful.
So I have some reflection questions for you all just to reflect on throughout the presentation today. The first one is, what words come to mind when you think of the word resilience? Number two, as a leader, how has this crisis impacted you and your effectiveness to lead? And lastly, what does resilience look like in leadership? So let's get started. What is resilience? And resilience is defined as the ability to recover from setbacks, adapt well to change, and keep going in the face of adversity. It means bouncing back from difficult experiences. It's your attitude, mindset, and the commitment that allows you to bounce back. Resilience is not a trait that people either have or do not have. It involves barriers, your behaviors, your thoughts, and actions that can be learned and developed in anyone. So let's take, for example, a rubber band. And I want you to list all the ways, or think about all the ways that you can use a rubber band. I'm going to give you a couple seconds here just to think of some ways that you can use a rubber band. When we think about a rubber band, they require to be stretched and are only useful when they are stretched. You may not be where you are or who you are today without some form of tension or stretching taking place within your life. And rubber bands can hold things together or propel objects forward. The rubber band can teach us something about having resilience in difficult times. When in a crisis, leaders must know how to keep their people together to focus on solutions and not problems. And solutions propel organizations forward. And I love this quote by Steve Harvey: "Your setback is just a setup for your comeback." Life has no shortage of difficulties, but the good news is that no matter how difficult things may get, you can bounce back. That is the beauty of resilience. No matter how many setbacks you faced in life, it's never too late to cultivate resilience. You too can become like a rubber band, someone who bounces back from setbacks every time, and then also stretching yourself in that tension within your growth. So, according to the American Psychology Association, there are several key factors in resilience. And the first one is healthy relationships. Having a community of people who love and support you is an important key to bouncing back from disappointment. This, above all, has the most impact on a person's level of resilience. So, the larger the network of support and care that you have, the more able you are as a person to be resilient. Next is you have to prioritize your relationships. Have you ever felt you spend your life juggling? You have family, work, friendships, your health, and simple daily commitments all demand our attention. It seems that the only way to satisfy all the demands that we have is to frantically try to juggle them, hoping that nothing gets dropped. But how do you determine what's important and how do you prioritize? So imagine life as a game in which you are juggling five balls in the air. You can name them. You have your work, you have family, health, friends, and your spirit. And you're keeping all these in the air. You will soon understand that work is a rubber ball. And if you drop it, it will bounce back. But on the other hand, the four balls that you have is your family, your health, your friends, and your spirit are made of glass. And if you drop one of these, they will be irrevocably scuffed, marked, damaged, or even shattered. And they will never be the same. So let's think about it. A glass ball is not only more fragile than a rubber ball, but it's also more valuable. Your family, your health, your friends, and your spirit are more valuable than your work. It's important to give them higher priority so that you don't get damaged or destroyed, and they don't either. So you want to keep your priorities straight, and you want to make sure that you're taking care of your family, your health, your relationships, and your spirit. And that's not a selfish act. Actually, it's a sustaining one. So as a leader, you have to have healthy relationships and know how to prioritize them. And so when you think about it, because resiliency and sustainability go hand in hand, we must ask ourselves as leaders, what is important to me? Now that we have defined resilience and what it is, now let's dive into how to develop resilience as a leader and why it is an important trait to develop. So the first one is self-leadership. And as leaders, we must lead from the inside out. And to lead effectively, we have to address and discuss the issues we are facing and look at our own ability to bounce back from adversity, to overcome challenges, and to listen, learn, grow, and lead your team and organization. Next, you have to visualize success. Resilient leaders create their own vision and success, and this helps them achieve their goals by providing a clear sense of where they're headed. And your vision needs to be rounded and vibrant and based on what is currently possible right now. And resilient leaders recognize the fine line between stretching goals and unrealistic goals. And when you start to invite your people to join you on the journey of the reflective learning that you are experiencing, it can be very culturally empowering. So revisiting and fine-tuning your vision renews commitment with yourself and your team. It refocuses collaborative efforts and it inspires creative thinking. Next is self awareness. And there are 5 key attributes that all resilient leaders should possess. And it does start with your self awareness. So, a resilient leader is able to define their strengths and limitations and focuses on the importance of growth. And growth comes from recognizing growth opportunities that you have. And the best opportunities are found hitting within failures and setbacks. And then when you as a leader begin searching for ways to learn, you position yourself for personal growth. And when you start drawing from lessons from previous mistakes, be they missed signals or poor decisions that you may have made, they always allow you to have the ability to learn from them. And then from each experience, you're learning about yourself as well. So it's great to commit yourself to a lifestyle of learning and then also teaching your people and your team to do the same, and it can become contagious. And developing a culture of personal growth in good times and challenging times builds resilience. So growth is all about resilience. And how will you ever know what you're made of if you've never stretched? So we're just going to go through a few points right here to help us understand where I brought up earlier the rubber band, how we have to stretch ourselves. So the first one is few people ever want to be stretched. So most people use only a fraction of their ability and rarely, if ever, try to reach their full potential. When was the last time you learned something new for the first time? Number 2 is settling for the status quo. Most people are satisfied to settle into their comfort zone of familiar patterns and habits, and it takes real courage to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And remember, no one remembers average people. Number 3 is stretching is an inside job. The real process of growth begins with your thoughts. And then your thoughts then become your words, and then your words become actions. James Allen said, "You cannot travel within and stand without." This inside job is an internal measurement that allows you to evaluate where you are against what you are capable of doing. Number 4 is stretching always requires change. You can't improve and avoid change at the same time. You must stop looking over your shoulder and at what was, and then focus on what is currently right now. George Eliot said, "It is never too late to be what you have been. If you are still satisfied with what you did 5 years ago, then you are not growing." Number 5, stretching sets you apart from others. Have you noticed that people seem to have become satisfied with mediocrity? As you stretch and get better, you will be able to affect and infect others who will follow your lead, and everyone will become better as a result. Number 6, stretching can become a lifestyle. When you stop stretching, you stop growing. So you want to make sure that you're stretching yourself and you're making it part of your daily routine. And number 7 is stretching gives you a shot at significance. I love this. So you see, you are going to grow yourself. And in order to grow yourself, you must know yourself, which that self-awareness comes in. And what is the gap between good and great? Could it be that your ability to close that gap is directly related to your willingness to be stretched? So as you deal with your day-to-day situations, whether that is in business or in your personal life, you will be dealt several opportunities that can afford you the opportunity to stretch into, and how you choose to deal with those determines how positively or negatively impact your current situations and circumstances and your life and how you influence those around you. Next is self-management, or we call personal mastery, is sometimes described as emotional intelligence. And it is the ability to understand and control what we feel, our emotions, and the way we act, our responses to these emotions. And a resilient leader can manage their thoughts, attitudes, and emotions. They are aware of their behavior and self care, both physically and emotionally. Next is self esteem. Some people are naturally blessed with high self esteem, and others perhaps may need to work on their self esteem, which involves understanding where it comes from and what makes you feel good about yourself. So, here are just a few ways to help boost your self esteem. First, you want to identify what you're good at. What can you feel positive about yourself? Next, you want to remind yourself of these things regularly. You want to remind yourself of these things daily. Next, you want to recognize what other people appreciate about you. What do others say about you? You want to make sure that you allow others to praise you and resist the temptation to brush those compliments aside. Accept them because you're doing a great job. And lastly, don't compare yourself with other people. Next is confidence. A resilient leader is confident in his or her ability to problem solve, make decisions, and communicate. Next, you want to be able to be optimistic and have a positive outlook. Optimism is one of the most important characteristics of resilient leaders. It is required to bounce back from change or a challenge, and as a result, leaders want to make sure that they're looking on the bright side and have a future mindset and forward thinking mindset and are comfortable expressing positive emotions. And so next, I want you all to look at this glass. Either you can see it as being half empty or half full. What is your perception of them in perspective? And then also, what is it that you see? So next, I would like for you to get a pen and paper out, and we're going to take this quiz briefly. And this is an abbreviated version of the Nicholson-McBride Resilience Questionnaire. And for each question, you want to score yourself between 1 and 5. 1, strongly disagree, and 5, you want to strongly agree. So number 1, in a difficult spot, I turn at once to what can be done to put things right. Number 2, I influence where I can rather than worrying about what I can't influence. Number 3 is I don't take criticism personally. Number 4 is I generally manage to keep things in perspective. Number 5 is I am calm in a crisis. Number 6, I'm good at finding solutions to problems. Number 7, I wouldn't describe myself as an anxious person. Number 8, I don't tend to avoid conflict. Number 9, I try to control events rather than becoming a victim of circumstances. Number 10 is I trust my intuition. Number 11 is I manage my stress levels well. And number 12 is I feel confident and secure in my position. So what you'll do is you'll take the scores, add those up, and while you're adding those up and totaling for the score, we're going to go through the different aspects of how you scored. So from 0 to 37, you have a developing level of resilience, and your score indicates that although you may not always feel at the mercy of events, you would in fact benefit significantly from developing aspects of your behavior. If you score between 38 and 43, you have an established level of resilience, and your score indicates that you may occasionally have tough days when you can't quite make things go your way, but you rarely feel ready to give up. If you scored in between 44 to 48, you have a strong level of resilience, and your above average score indicates that you are pretty good at rolling with the punches, and you have an impressive track record of turning setbacks into opportunities. And if you score between 49 and 60, you have an exceptional level of resilience, and your score indicates that you are very resilient most of the time and rarely fail to bounce back whatever life throws at you. And the great thing about when you're scoring this, it can change based on situations and circumstances, but it's always great to know that there's room for growth to grow into your resilience as a leader. So how resilient you feel on any given day is the sum of all that's going on in your life, the pressures and responsibilities you face at work and at home, and how you handle all those demands all come together. They're all connected. So some questions to ask yourself is, do you take care of yourself? Are you able to put things into perspective? And do you have the support that you need so that you are able to cope well with the challenges that you face? So in summary, resilience is defined as the ability to recover from setbacks, adapt well to change, and keep going in the face of adversity. So there are many opportunities for leaders to lead by example. First, you want to be intentionally, and you want to have the intentionality to build resilience through self-care. You want to utilize coaching for yourself and your team. You want to increase self-awareness and emotional intelligence. You want to find ways to connect to your purpose, and you want to be intentional about your personal well-being, which can result in positive outcomes for both yourself as a leader and your organization. And so resilience is the essential quality of leadership that propels and sustains our ability to succeed and lead. And it is important that we have resiliency and sustainability. So in closing, I want to share with you this picture. And I do see that it is a glass. And this glass represents your employees, your coworkers, your colleagues, your friends, your family members. And I want you to think back on your own resilience and ways you have bounced back, you have overcome challenges, and you have faced adversity. And you must utilize the resilience and everything that you have experienced in life to help you as a leader. So now that you see the glasses and that you see a picture of water, and as a leader, you are that pitcher, and you must pour into your people, your team, your employees, and your family and friends. And you have what your team and employees need. And you have to make sure that you have to pour into them what it is that they need from you as a leader. And what everyone needs right now is hope. And so hope shines brightest when the hour is darkest. Hope motivates when discouragement comes. Hope energizes when the body is tired. Hope sweetens when the bitterness bites. Hope sings when the melodies are gone, and hope believes when the evidence is limited. Hope climbs over obstacles when no one is helping. Hope endures hardships when no one is caring. Hope smiles confidently when no one is laughing. Hope reaches for answers when no one is asking. Hope presses towards victory when no one is encouraging, and hope dares to give when no one is sharing, and hope brings the victory when no one is winning. So in closing, I want to ask you a few questions. What are 2 things you have learned or will do differently as a result of what we have covered today? And number 2, to identify one idea or one point you will apply to your life right now. So I want to thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this presentation. I really do appreciate it on Leadership Resilience Matters. And thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.